Hey friends, it's Rick. I'm back with another video. Today we are going to be making a spooky Halloween card using products from Missing Stamps. I'm going to be using the Boo Sheet stamp set for sure. I pulled in the Boo Crew stamp set because I think I might want to use this little gate right here. We're going to be using the Halloween Heart Stencil. I also pulled in the Night Sky Stencil. I'm not sure if we're using this one yet or not, but I did cut my cardstock with the EIEO die set. I used the stitch die to cut out my panel. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place my black cardstock onto a sticky mat, and I'm going to take my Halloween Heart stencil and layer that onto my panel. I'm going to try to get it centered, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some white ink. I'm going to start off with Picket Fence Distress ink. We might have to change to just a regular pigment ink. I think that probably would be better, because what I want to do is add a layer of color first, or layer of white pigment ink first, and then I want to dry it and then add in some colors. So I'm just going to take my pigment ink and pounce it onto my cardstock using a foam blending tool that is dedicated for white ink. And I'm just going to fill my stencil in, just like so. I'm going to give it a couple good coats. Should be good. And I'm going to lift that up and move it. I'm going to dry my white pigment ink, and I'm going to clean my stencil first, so I'll be right back. All right, my friends, I've got my panel dry for the most part. It might be a little bit damp still, but that's okay. Now I'm going to bring in my other part of my stencil. I'm going to bring in that little heart and lay that on top. And what I want to do is mask off the other part of my stencil so that I do not get ink in there, because, you know, if anybody can do it, it's going to be me. So I'm just going to mask that off real easy. And I'm going to take my pigment ink again, and I'm going to just fill that heart in the center, because I just want a base layer of that white pigment ink. Since we're using black cardstock, that way I will have a nice base layer that I can add my color on top of, and it will be nice and solid. Go ahead and move that off. All right, I will dry that and be right back. All right, my friends, we're back. I'm going to go ahead and replace my stencil right over our ink blended heart that is just solid white, and the pigment ink is dry at this point. So we're just going to line this back up, and then I can replace my tape to keep our other parts nice and clean. And I'm going to use some pigment ink, or Distress Oxide inks, to add some color to like a night sky and that heart. So I'm going to start off with using a little bit of picked raspberry. I'm going to add that just kind of right in there. Then I'm going to come in with a little bit of mustard seed right over that. And then I'll give it a little bit of carved pumpkin. Come back to that mustard, picked raspberry for a little bit. Add in a little bit of that yellow, that mustard seed. Then I'm going to switch over to a little bit of picked raspberry. Come back over that with my carved pumpkin. Get these two to blend together nicely. Come back and add a little bit more color right there. Sometimes when you're ink blending, you have to come back and forth a couple times. I'm going to add in at the top, I'm going to add this Villainous potion. Then I'm going to come around the edge of everything, especially the outside edge, with black soot to give it more of a night sky feel. Keep everything away from our other open images down there. We don't want to mess with that. I'm going to take a little bit of water, just what's on my end of my brush, and I'm going to just flick that on as light as I can. I'll take my paper towel, kind of blot that off. I will remove that whole panel. We have our little heart right there. Little spooky-ish heart. So I'm going to set this panel to the side for now, and we're going to work on our other images. All right, I have stamped out a couple of our ghosts from the Boo Sheet stamp set, and I'm going to add some color with my Korean brush markers. I have my little cup of water right here, and I have a very small paintbrush that I'm going to use because I just need a little bit of color on them. It's nothing too fancy, nothing too big. Hardest part is going to be picking out our colors for our little ghosts. And really all I need to do is add a little color on these little folds and the outside or inside of one side of the edge. I'll take a little bit of water on my paintbrush so I can soften that edge and kind of pull that out just to give it a little bit of color. We're not going to go super fancy with our coloring. We're just going to give it just a hint of some kind of color in it, like a little shadow. We're going to soften that. Little edge right there. And I did stamp this on Bristol smooth cardstock. It is the best that you're going to get to add for colors to move around, especially any kind of dye-based marker. It's going to move better with that Bristol smooth. We're going to add just a little on this side. And this is soft peach, by the way. So I'll add a little over on this side. And then I need a little right here on this one and a little on this one. Doesn't take a lot of water. All right, we're going to switch over to pale violet, and I'm going to add a little right there on this little ghost at the top. Dab off my brush, pull that color out just a little. Just add a little color in our shadows of our ghosts so they're not just plain stark white of the paper. We do want to add our shadows in there, and that's what our color is going to act as our shadows. So we'll do our little divots in our fabric of our sheets. Tabling that out. And if you didn't get it quite blended, you can come back and blend that just a little bit more to soften that edge. But always your darkest part will be what's in your shadow areas. So that will be darker, and the rest of it will get lighter as it fades out because it is that shadow. And we'll add a little color on this side. I'll take in, grab that with that damp brush, that thirsty brush. Let's pull that out. I'm going to add just a little bit more and soften it just a little bit more so we don't have a harsh line. We'll kind of blend these together up here with just a little bit of that blending technique. All right, so there's that little ghost. I'll set those right there. Then we're going to do a little green one as well. And I'm going to use the apple on this one, the apple color. So I'll start like that. I'm just going to come around that edge. I take my little brush, my little thirsty brush, and we'll pull that color and soften that edge, just giving it that little hint of color then. Do that on the same other side as well. If you have to turn your paper, turn it however you need to. That's always a good thing. It's always the best thing to do is to turn that cardstock around so that you can get at it at the angle that works best for you. All right, so there's that little ghost. Now we're going to color our little images. So I'm going to color this sucker just green. I can just blend that out a little. And then we're going to do one of our little O's as well. Our little balloon up here. I'm going to do each color at the same time. We're going to do our B. And And that little peach, soft peach color. I'm also going to do my pumpkin here in that as well. So I'm going to just kind of come around that little line. And then I'll blend that color out. So keep everything nice and cohesive. And like right here, if I need to add more color, I can. After it's completely dry, I can come back and drop in some more color so that it is a little bit darker. I can also pick up a little color off of my tip of my brush and soften that out. Just pick up that little color. Just like so. Just pull that out. There we go. That's better. And I can clean that brush off. Now, before I move on, I'm going to pull in one more color for the inside of our jack-o'-lantern's mouth. That's the canary. Let's pull that out. And then for our last little O, we will do that in our soft, our pale violet color. So I'll just kind of pull that out with that damp brush. So we have a little bit of contrast over there. All right, so with 4 markers, we've colored our whole images. I'll move those to the side. I'm gonna get rid of this water before I make a mess. All right, I'm gonna dry these images and then I'm gonna fussy cut them and I'll be right back. All right, I've got all my little images cut out. I'm gonna take my focal panel and I'm gonna pop it in my Misty and I'm gonna stamp my sentiment right in the center of the heart. And I'm gonna use VersaFine Onyx Black for that. And my sentiment says, may you be scared sheetless this Halloween. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that a second time. All right, I'm going to set this to the side to dry and be right back. All right, I've got that panel dry. We're going to add that to an ivory card base. And I'm going to pop... add foam tape behind it. All right, I've got my foam tape peeled off. I'm going to add liquid glue on there to have a little bit more wiggle room. So we'll go ahead and add that on. And I'm going to stand up. Make sure I have my card where I want it, and I can make sure everything is lined up. Since we do have a nice big border for our card. All right, now we're going to add some of our little ghosts. See, I think we're going to add that one over here. And then he's going to be holding the little boo balloon We'll let this one hold the little sucker, no, the little pumpkin. So I'm going to add a little liquid glue behind that. I can put it in her little hand. Just like so. And then I can add some foam tape behind it. Grab another little piece that I can put behind our little pumpkin. I'm going to add some embellishments as well. So I'm going to add that right along there. And we'll add a little foam square behind our little balloon here. So I'll just take and cut some small pieces of foam tape. All right, I want to add that up in here. Like, it's got a longer string than what we originally had because I cut the string off. I wasn't about to fussy cut all that. That was just not going to happen. I'm going to pop another piece of foam tape, a little bit thicker, on to this one. And kind of line it up right in there. Then I'm going to give this other one, the other ghost on this other side of the sucker as well. So I put a little piece of thicker foam tape on there. And I'm going to dot just a little bit of liquid glue right there, so that I can put that sucker in its hand. And then everything is nice and same level. And we have one more little ghost, and I think I'm going to add it to the inside of our card. So I'll open this up. We'll add our little ghost to the inside. Just glue that in. And then we're going to add a sentiment as well. Pull in my Misty. We can add our little sentiment. And I'm going to add it down here close to our little ghost. And I'm going to stamp it using my carved pumpkin distressed oxide ink. And it's the sentiment that says, "Holy sheets. Holy sheets, it's Halloween." Or "Holy sheets, it's Halloween." I'll stamp that a couple times to make it nice and dark. All right, I'm going to come in with a white gel pen, and I will add a little bit of highlights to our little ghost, just so they have a little bit of highlight on them. I don't know why I don't throw that pen away, because it's on my desk and it never works. We're just going to add just a few little highlights to our little stamped images. I'll go ahead and add just a little bit to the inside of the card as well. All right, now I'm going to add a few of the Fright Night pearls from Miss Ink Stamps. And I'm just going to add a few around the card. So I'm going to add 2 on this side. And we'll add 3. We'll add 3 right there. My pickup tool. So we'll add one of the little orange ones, one of the green ones, one of our little purple ones. Let's see, we've got a black or more of an iridescent one we'll add over here. And let's balance that out with one of the orange. All right, my friends, here is a final look at my card. There's a closer look at the card. Here's a look at the inside. I hope you like this video. If you do, you're probably going to like the one coming up right over there. I'll see you in that video. Bye, guys. Stay crafty. Love you.